I'd like to begin with calling the meeting to order with the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Were there any corrections to the minutes from last month? No. Okay. Do you want to offer a motion for the approval of that? So moved. I guess I'll second since I'm here. I was there. So all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Good. All right. Silence is golden. We did receive a letter in response to our inquiry about 19 Sag Pond. Is there someone here about that? Thank you.
Hello, Ian Hamback with Authority Design from the Allison.
Next year, by the way.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, so we had asked you about stepping back and also for the letter.
Correct.
Right. The letter is not specific. What are the ages of the kids?
So they're ranging from 12 to 16, 3 years.
Okay. So it's not like they're infants that are running
No.
crazy around the yard. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much safety and security for the boys, although it's important that they don't have people driving onto the property, right, from that safety standpoint. I think the security of the gate is for the dogs, and then just protect the property from people running into it.
There are a couple different measurements on some of these diagrams, so I wanted to clarify what you were offering, and then seek input further from the board, because we did have a couple different ideas on that.
Sure.
The most recent one, which I have stamped as March 16th, has you at 57.4 feet for the gate. The call box is 40 something, 48.3. Okay. And then there's another document that has 55 feet on the gate. Is that correct?
I think it's because the property line is on the bias, right? That dimension is taken from the nearest point.
Okay.
The Saskia survey is taken from the center line of the driveway. Which
Okay.
accounts for that discrepancy.
All right. Initial concepts on the proposed?
You don't have a sample of the material. I understand it's wood clad over metal, is that correct?
It is, yeah. It's basically going to be a black powder coated steel frame just to recede into the background of the wood. And the wood is going to be a natural, probably mahogany, and that's going to be allowed to weather out just like a cedar or any natural wood.
Is the whole gate wood covered or just part of it?
So just the cladding is going to be wood covered.
No, what do you mean by just the cladding? Are all of these
All of the horizontal
elements going to
slats.
be wood clad? That's what I'm
Yes.
asking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. And then the structural frame, as I said, just intended to disappear.
Yeah. Although the distance is back a little bit further, it still argues with what the board has worked with, which is a more agricultural type of context of vocabulary with gates.
It's interesting.
I realize that you're trying to work with the house,
Sure, yeah.
but I just find it a little bit still forcing or encouraging us to go outside of our comfort zone from a traditional sway design, which is what we had adopted for pretty much most of the last 10 years. And Bloom, any ideas, thoughts?
No.
Okay.
Do I understand, do I remember that the reason for not being willing to move the gate back further had to do with access to this front part of the lawn?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. Certainly, we don't want to cut off, lawnmower access, maintenance access, or just physical access from the driveway to the front part of the lawn. So we did leave a little opening, albeit modest, enough of an opening to walk down the driveway and into that section of the property. I think from a design standpoint, the further that gate goes back, the more the hedge that receives it goes back, and the more occluded everything became. By moving this back, you actually see less of the home and less of the property because the hedges that support it go back with it.
Right, but you've got a hedge, you don't want everybody watching the house, so your argument is going two ways.
Well, no, I don't think, again, visually, we've really tried to maintain transparency and openness in this concept. I think that's been embraced in both the prior iteration and this one. It's just the physical barrier and the opaqueness of the hedge becomes more pronounced the further back you go. And so it's more like looking down a flag lot.
Well, I'm a little bit perplexed by why you want to walk from the driveway to the front lawn when there's a perfectly good access to the front lawn from the house. You're saying people are gonna want to stop halfway there and
Well, I think,
walk to the front lawn?
yeah, I think it's reasonable to assume somebody could be walking out of either side of the house, parking in the front and coming down the driveway to meet people that are on the lawn. So we want to make sure that the only way to get to the lawn is to walk all the way around the tennis court to the east side, that you're able to access that from both sides.
Okay, she's up here. No, it's okay. She's right here. Let me bring them home.
Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, this application, I appreciate the change in the location. It's really the same review over and over with the gate applications and the necessity for them. It certainly helps to have them move back. Again, I think certain applications are stronger in terms of real need for security than others. Houses on cul-de-sacs versus like houses on the highway. Certainly there's a difference there, but I'll just continue listening, and I don't have any changes from my point of view the last round. I do appreciate the client's willingness to modify the location, and obviously LaGuardia has done a great job trying to facilitate this, and the gate is a beautiful design, and I'll just leave it at that.
It should be noted too, that the reason Nick is on Zoom is because of sickness, so that's why he's allowed to be on Zoom. Thank you, Nick.
Okay. I would rather have it further back towards a little bit further. You've moved it back 17 feet, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so that would be the minimum by code.
Well, I think the minimum by code is based on setbacks is 40, so we're
Right, yeah,
almost
that's what I'm
another
saying. Yeah.
50%, yeah.
Well, yeah, but there is a desire, or some of us have a desire to have it a little bit further back. And we had discussed this last month as well. What is your sense at this point?
Well, I would rather have it further back, but I'm, tired of arguing about gates, to be honest.
Duly noted.
I mean,
Second
this is
thought.
supposed to be, people move out to the country to be in an agricultural community and immediately start throwing up things that are nothing to do with the community they've come to.
Right. Yeah.
But, that's just me.
No, it's not just you. The proposed
I don't
gravel planted area, is that barriered, or is it just? Explain that to me if you can.
If you could just clarify so I can.
Well, you have past the gate and a little bit ahead of the gate towards the street, you have something called a proposed gravel planted area. Is that, there's not a fence line or anything else?
No, the driveway continues to the house.
Right.
And the trees, the alley of trees emerges from that garden.
Right. So the idea of keeping the dogs in the yard is not handled at all with this. Because they could walk through I'm just questioning, there's no barrier between the lawn and the area between the gate and I don't see the plantings on the diagram, that's I guess what I'm asking.
Correct. So if we go to the survey, which I think is the best way to see that, you have the perimeter enclosure around the property,
Yes.
of which that driveway gate will become part of that. I guess what's not represented on the Saskias survey is the return hedge that's depicted in the 3D rendering.
Right,
But that hedge and the fence comes up to greet that driveway gate and satisfies the perimeter enclosure that we keep the dogs on the property.
okay. Yeah, I'm taking care of a dog right now that has a little collar on it and the wire is buried throughout the property. The dog is absolutely petrified to go near the wire because it will get a buzz. And it hears the warning shot before the volt strikes.
I myself have 2 dogs that are fearless when it comes to that. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked for our dogs, so I could probably train them
It's
better.
not set high enough.
Well,
I have another question though.
Sure.
If somebody coming out of the house wants to walk down the driveway to the lawn, which is your argument,
sure.
they're gonna have to walk through right through the middle of a planted area in order to do that,
No.
according to this drawing.
No, and I think unfortunately the site plan that demonstrated the best was submitted with the prior iteration. We just reflected the change. You walk down the driveway and the lawn abuts it. There's a hedge around the court and there's a hedge that meets the driveway gate, and that frames a 6-foot
And there's a
opening.
planted gravel area between the driveway and the front lawn.
No, it's just gravel. There's no plants in the gravel. The trees come out of the gravel, so it's one tree trunk within the gravel. Which,
It
no, I think
says-
you look at
it
the-
says gravel planted area.
Well, I think what he's trying to explain is that you have these trees in the gravel.
Yeah,
Here.
they're the plantings.
Okay.
And what is the planting in the foreground of the image? The
That's just
rendering,
fountain grass.
rendering.
Yeah, fountain grass.
Okay. What are we doing for Thomas Scott?
And the green,
We're trying to pull up. The last one, which will show it.
And then there was just this, no, we got a comprehensive. survey.
you see,
I mean, I think the 3D rendering is the best way to illustrate that. There's no
you
planting.
can't see the
those
house at all,
trees.
so there's no relevancy to the design cave.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it.
You gave us the animal. I'm tired of the word, so. All right.
All right. Okay, look at this. I can't see the house at all, so I don't see the relevance between this design echoing the house. I've driven past it. I see the house now, the way that the old gate is set up. But it just, it's a hard sell for me.
Well, it is interesting, you know, I mean, you can see it here in the prior iteration.
Yeah,
That position with the gate closer, it was actually more open. You can see more of the house from the street.
what is the height of the illustrated hedge on the left of the driveway?
So that hedge is roughly 10, 12 feet. That's what's out there on the street. We would just be keying into that. And then at the gate, we would step it down and it would be no higher than 6 feet. You know, we are trying to break that corridor, that flag lot effect, and open it up more to the building. And you can see in the current 3D, I mean, we're still retaining that. It's just unfortunately that taller edge returns back further.
Well, if you moved it back another 10 or 15 feet, you'd still be able to walk around the tennis court, assuming that this proposed planted area is as it's shown in the rendering.
In rendering or in the survey?
If it's- If that planting area is trees, you can walk through that.
Well, there is landscape around that court. There's a hedge around that court. And then the trees, the LA of trees is set
Yeah.
just to the right of that.
And I'm saying if you set the gate back further, you could walk through the LA of trees past the court.
This is change, there's a hedge from the town's code.
Yeah, sweet, but you can still walk.
I'm not
Okay,
disagreeing with
Am
that.
I wrong? If your gate were back here, you could still walk through this LA and onto the tennis court. So if the gate were back, even with.
Nick's not gonna get the benefit of it. So
You can hold it up to the camera, we've done it before.
I don't want him to think less of me when he sees my sketch. So there's a hedge that's around the fort, and so that's that opening. So that's,
So
you know,
you could move the gate back to there.
well, we're trying to maintain, you know, more width than we've got our tree right there. So you start to get jammed in with that tree and that.
I
gates at the
understand,
end.
but you're also, you're explaining something that makes sense.
But
But it doesn't answer the concern that the board has given to you and offered to you and reiterated to you. And so it seems like you're trying your best on behalf of your client, which I get.
Sure.
But it's not answering the concerns that the board has proposed, not only in this discussion, but last month's discussion.
I guess I would ask, you know, if I determined that there was a minimum opening that we needed, say it's 6 feet, right? That's, you're getting a riding mower through there. That's pragmatic for
Right.
maintenance. And the gate shifted back with the understanding that you're gonna see even less of the home, and we're not actually going to be opening the property up and making it more occluded. If that's something that the board
But
would
again,
be comfortable with, I can take that back to my client, just need to understand the parameters.
but the other idea is that 12-foot hedge doesn't have to be 12 foot. Okay? If you drive down Gin Lane in Southampton, you can't see any house whatsoever from the street. And that's exactly why we're arguing so much. We don't want just streets with green walls.
I understand that. I think it's just the context of that particular street.
It's not every house on that street.
Most.
No. I
In
would argue with
that
that.
contiguous block, it's
I've
bordered on
walked the
both
block.
sides with those hedged in
It's
properties.
not completely,
I know down on the end it is more open.
I want you to take that back too and say, you know, are you trying to build yourself into a visual prison? Or are you trying to work with the goals of the village? Okay.
So just so I know exactly what I'm asking my client to do, because I just I want to try and meet your goals and theirs. As you noted, I'm trying to strike that
I
balance.
understand.
Is part of the request that I ask him to cut down this front property hedge to a lower height?
If it helps illuminate the house, which you're trying to work with in this visual assessment,
Is there a-
it's really hard to visualize it, but you know, again, you know, it's like Emily says, you know, every single person who buys out here has a goal which almost constantly argues with why we became the village. What the historical nature of this area is late 1500s, 1600s. Our mission as a village was to try and retain some of that character.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately it's an existing condition
I understand.
that he purchased. So, you know, I'm
I
asking him
know,
to
but-
undo something. So that becomes part of.
We might be asking him to undo some of that if he's,
What if you move the gate back another 10 feet? Why would that not sort of accommodate both?
I think he can go back 7.5, 8, and we would still have mower access. I think that's sort of the.
I got the
The
mower
furthest back you can
access.
go.
I spent 20 years mowing lawns. Bad enough. See what you can do. Okay.
Because you moved it back now 11 feet from the,
17 feet, yeah. 40 to 57.
is that 40? The print is, my old eyes will not read a print that's.
Mine are not much better even at my age. It was 40 before because that was the
Okay,
setback.
sorry.
road.
Sorry,
Now it's
I know.
57.
I need it. You can use it.
Well.
So right now, the call box is at 48 and the gate is at 57.
No, that's what I was looking at, the 48, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Okay. One more try.
Is there, just before I go, anything else that I might need to review with them, just in the interest of?
I don't envy you, I understand.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Yep, say that loud enough to be on the
So
record.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Hi.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Okay, 205. Another gate application. Are you psyched? We need that out on the table, please. Thank you. Okay. This is for 245 Hedges Lane, and this is off of a flag lot, is that correct?
That's correct. The lot is at least 250 yards away from
250 feet, not yards, right?
yards.
Yards? Okay.
It's a long driveway
Okay.
from either Hedges Lane or Fairfield Pond Lane.
Macefield.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Fairfield.
It says 266 feet, not yards. On the survey, that's your measurement.
266 feet
Yeah,
from the
that's what the survey says,
cul-de-sac, right?
from the cul-de-sac. yes.
Yeah, no, I was talking to the road, to the street.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that from there to the street, there's a long way.
Mhm. Okay.
So if a person gets to the gate,
How do you turn around?
how does that person turn around without backing out whatever you decided that distance was? There's no place to turn around.
In both cases, yeah, there's space to maneuver. A huge truck obviously would have to open the gate and be able to put the drive in a little bit to back up. If somebody drives in there by mistake,
Well, that's what I'm meaning. There's nothing shown on here that shows any place to back up and turn around. On here.
let me see the.
So they have to back up the entire length of the driveway into the circle.
Well, I mean, the idea is if a truck comes in to go in one way, the house has two entrances. One from Hedges and the other one from Fairfield.
Hedges.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, this is that wacky lot.
This property readdressed itself from Macefield Close to Hedges Lane. That's why it's 205 Hedges. So the main entrance where the delivery would come down would be from Hedges Lane down.
From
to
Hedges,
205.
not from Mace, because
Yeah,
here.
Macefield was the original access to the property, which they chose to maintain. But any delivery address would be from Hedges Lane.
So there's actually two gates on here. One
Yes.
here on Hedges,
Exactly, and they're both exactly the same.
as well as that.
It doesn't really
That doesn't help
answer
the
your
architect.
question.
No,
Doesn't
it
help the
doesn't.
person who drives in and at that driveway, but
Mhm. And the necessity of this gate is,
Basically because security, this person is a very well-known person. And in the past, they had people that pretending that they were lost, they would drive through the property, take pictures, and they have young kids and you know, they're very, very private, very nice people. And, you know, that's his main concern. He spoke to me and he said, listen,
Would there be some kind of way to warn people about the long driveway so that they didn't go in and the deliveries were to come in this way? Because backing a big truck down this driveway would be no joke.
it's exactly the same as it is now for all the rest of the
So it's
properties.
pre-existing.
That driveway ends, I'll show you, ends, if you continue that driveway, it ends on a gate. I go there every day. Yeah, it takes, you know, 3 or 4 maneuvers. You have to be a little patient, but you can turn around. And we are leaving like 12 feet between because we are installing also a cattle guard, so that
I see that.
made us recess, so there is space to, you know, drive in and then turn around and go back. And in terms of the aesthetics, this house has a lot of shutters because we wanted to address the fact of lowering the light
Light
impact, you
emission.
remember? So in order not to add another architecture element, what we did is we used the same texture as those patterns. So it's the same cedar wood with that same design. So it's,
I'm sure the design is fine. I love your design.
thank you.
I'm just worried about turning around.
So it's fairly off the beaten trail, I would say. Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, do you mind if we take a look at the survey again?
Yep, sure. Could you zoom in on, as he requests? Or just zoom in on the lead-in. The main
So,
address is gonna be
The
205.
obvious,
Hedges, yeah.
I think I follow what was said earlier by Emily, and I'm sure the client doesn't want this, but if you could place the gate on the other, I think it's moving around quite a bit. Could you zoom out a little bit? Okay.
You mean on the
Zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, if you could. Nacho, I know this is a tough ask of the client. I mean, I couldn't imagine how hard it would be for them, but to the request about if someone made a mistake and would have to turn around, if you were able to place your gate in front of the wood deck and then have a turnaround, I'll draw on the screen. Hold on 1 second. Oh, it doesn't allow me to draw for some reason. But I think you get the idea. If where it says proposed propane tanks below grade, if there was a gate there and then there was a turnaround underneath where it says wall, then someone could arrive and obviously the village, no one would see the gate at all at that point. I think it's a beautiful gate and I appreciate it being 266 feet away, but now I'm concerned about someone being able to safely, go backwards. Especially if it was a truck.
The deliveries are going to be through Hedges because the address is on Hedges, not this. Here we're installing a gate just to, for security, but the idea
No
is.
sightseers,
Say it again?
no sightseers.
Yeah, exactly.
What proportion of people, other than sightseers, come in that way?
Very little, very little.
So the Macefield access is landscapers and so forth like that?
Not even, because the Hedges lane is it's there and they're gonna leave it there as an extra, access, but the idea is to use hedges because it's wider. It's a nicer, you drive by the field that is nicer. And for most of the deliveries, it's less complicated. Going the back way, it's very hidden and you go through hedges and it's narrow. I don't think they're gonna get any deliveries through that gate.
Can you just follow through on
Seems
the
reasonable.
Hedges Lane access, please? Abby? There's a proposed, there's the existing driveway to be removed, then the proposed driveway, and then there's a ramp, is that right? Towards the car-
Well, there's a ramp, a grass ramp and to the garage. Part of it is grass and part of it is
Okay,
paved, yeah.
then 2 retaining walls and in the front of the house, you've got proposed stone retaining walls? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a courtyard in the front of the house protecting the entrance.
Is the house, I think it is.
No, I don't know.
I think it is the house, I think it is.
Could you see if they are willing to move it inside the property, the one from Macefield? So that there's a turnaround spot with that? Okay, you understand the reasoning? Okay, and just convey that to your client and see if that's something that they'd be willing to
And
do.
I have a question.
Mhm.
If we move the gates
Mhm.
towards the roundabout, would that be
Being closer to the cul-de-sac.
exactly? So people don't even enter there until, and if they have to turn around, they turn around.
In the cul-de-sac, yeah, that's
Wouldn't
another
that be
option.
easier?
That might be a better option, actually.
Exactly.
To
I
me,
don't
it
know
makes
if
more
it's
sense,
too
but I don't
it's
know
more
what your client's gonna say.
cables and things, but I think that would be the way to go, right? Maybe a little recessed, like 40, 30 feet inside, so nobody can see it, but more there, so you don't even
So-
go inside.
Yeah.
It would have to be a minimum of 40 feet.
40 feet, that would be perfect, yeah, that would be perfect,
I think that would be solve the problem.
yeah.
That would
If
solve
if
the
somebody's
concern,
driving a
yes.
truck and can't back up 40 feet.
40 feet
that's-
is not that much, you go in and you have a cul-de-sac to just leave, right?
Okay, so propose those ideas and see where your client wants to go, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Any other questions for us?
That could be committed too, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
so.
Any other comments, Nick?
Nick had to go out and he
Okay.
had to come back in. He
Okay.
is in,
Mhm.
but he's over here.
There he is.
He's muted. I don't know if he's
Yeah,
speaking.
he's, there he is.
He's having technical issues.
Okay, all right. Well, let's,
I modify that, I modify the survey and
okay,
I'll see you in a month from now.
very good.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. 778. I think they're on Zoom. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. And can we get that file up? Thank you. I think I have mine from this. Thank you. And Mary, who's working with you today? Is it Paul?
Yes, you have Paul from Green Logic here on,
Thank you.
Give me a sec to.
so, ladies and gentlemen, just to quickly recap, I know, when we adjourned the project last month, that the board had requested some renderings from pedestrian perspectives along the road there, just to confirm, the previous statement that the solar was not visible or really impacting the historical character of the building.
Do you have one copy with these pictures? 'Cause the copies that I had didn't have these pictures. Let me just take a look at it. Unless this is exactly what I have. Oh, okay.
So, let's see. This,
I have that one. I didn't have this one with the 4 shots. Thank you.
I don't have.
Yeah, this is, some packets don't have, the one that you distributed to the table does not have the inset 4 pictures.
That's page 3, Scott.
Okay.
It's not how I thought we were here.
Well, that just is the layout of where the panels are going to be. That's just the layout of where the panels are going to be. It was mentioned last month, Emily, in regards to balancing or within the context of what is visible at 816. That's why this other photograph is in the assembly is I can't remember.
Sure, this is John Mealy from MBB Architects. Maybe I could say a few words about these slides.
Sure.
Maybe if you could back up to the first renderings, one before this. Right, so what we've provided, sorry, next slide. So what we're showing here, these images, these 2 images on the top are images that were included in a previous submission to the board. And what we've done is taken these images and added in the solar panels on the lower images. So we have solar panels proposed for the main house, which is sort of barely visible. The bottom left image is one wing, and then some on the second story wing, which is visible in the right image, both of which are partially hidden by the home office structure that's in front of them. So I think what you're seeing here is the fact that from Sag Main Street, really neither one of these locations is visible at all. They're just sort of barely within the frame of view here. Go to the next slide, please. And this slide is just a reminder of a discussion that had taken place in a previous presentation to the board. Just a reminder to everyone that discussion of rooftop solar panels was part of this discussion from very early on, and this is something that was presented to the board as something that was really driving the design of the house. So this is something that we've relied on, getting to the point that where we are now. And then if you go to the next slide. So this is just to provide another sort of precedent example. This is another house just down the street on Sag Main Street that does have a rooftop PV system installed that was approved by the board at some point in the past. Just one thing to note, this house is closer to the street than what is being proposed at 778. This is also a different type of system. This one, maybe Paul can tell us a little more about that. This is a system that's maybe a little bit less visually appealing and less subtle than the one that's proposed for 778 Sagman.
That's correct, John. That one did get public feedback after it was put in, that was not the greatest idea. I understand that Sag Harbor's historic district does not allow any electric solar panels in the historic district. So this is still a young concept, and different communities are dealing with it in different ways. It is completely understood within this panel that this was the intent from the beginning. And the whole idea of this is just to have made the effort for us and for you that we went through the process of explaining the entire installation with the visual backups which you have provided. Okay. Nick, did you have any input on this? Hearing none. Emily?
Nick, it's still on mute.
Yeah.
Is he speaking?
Hi there. Can we go back to the proposed plan? The roof plan showing the application of panels.
Is this what you're speaking of, the analysis?
I think it was in a
Yeah, the
separate file.
48 versus 28 application
Yep.
drawing.
I think it's on the screen now.
It's still stuck on neighborhood context currently. Am I just not seeing it? Pat, are you able to change the image? There we go. All right. So could I just could you explain to the board here, please? These are different proposals. Obviously, I think the 42 panels is what you'd like to do. Is that correct?
Right. Well, sorry, this is a little bit confusing. This is an image that was presented in a much earlier meeting. At the time that this was presented, discussion was about the pitch of the roof and whether, at the time we were making the argument that we would prefer to have a single slope shed roof. I understand that the board was looking for a gabled roof. And the case we were making in this particular slide was that we were looking to maximize the solar panel output, and that's why the shed roof was preferable. And in the end, we settled on a compromise that I believe is the center diagram.
That's correct, John.
So that's why we're showing this slide, just to remind everyone that this is and sort of an ongoing discussion.
Mm-hmm. And is the final the middle with the gable and that?
Nick, that's correct.
This is final for the 2-story wing. We also now have, which isn't shown in this diagram, some panels on the other wing, the lower roof.
Right.
Okay. If I could just ask as a technical question, in the middle design, that if that gable end just about 2 panels in terms of usability of solar, if that gable end were, say, let's call it 4 feet higher than the gable behind it, wouldn't that hide the view of those panels?
I think I just want to clue everyone into where we are in the process here. This house is now under construction. So in terms of roof heights, roof angles, this is really not something we're in a position to revisit. And I think we're also at the
just as an
limit for
academic,
the roof height.
it's been a very frustrating process for you, I'm sure. But just in terms of trying to get you through as quickly as possible, I guess my point being that if that gable were framed a few feet higher, it would possibly prevent any view of the panels at all, because that difference in height might secure a block to the panels beyond.
Looking at the renderings, I would say it's already not visible in any meaningful way from a pedestrian's perspective, the way that it's set back and catching it on a glancing of an angle from the renderings below.
Okay, I mean, obviously that large holly, or I'm not sure what kind of plant that is, but is doing the majority of the work there on that block. But okay, that's my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion from the board here?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to move forward with the approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second, third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I mean, it's worth noting. No, that might have been something
Yes,
to do with this. So today's date is 27th. Thank you. Nick, was that a consent on that vote, or?
Yes, it's a consent.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sign that and then I'll write in.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Mary, and all.
Are you keeping it?
I don't know where, I think it was.
Very good. Motion to adjourn the application for One Sweet Potato Road LLC, as the applicant has requested.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 44 Greenleaf Lane. All right, Josh is joining us via Zoom. And do we have this? We have this here. Okay, thank you. So Josh, could you just walk us through the preliminary changes that you have
Yes, so
at this point?
the issue was that the architect had done the windows based on the interior experience and not for the exterior design. So they were all sort of mixed up, misaligned, and not symmetrical in any way. And also we had a big triple window on the first floor that was flooding the front with light. And we wanted to opt for a barn door instead of that. And so we did the before and afters on the lighting impact. So we have less light and less glass than you guys had already approved. And instead of having the windows misaligned, as you can see, they're all symmetrical, one on top of the other.
Okay.
And looks a little sharper.
Let's start with just the street view, which is page 2 on our packet, I guess. It's basically both. You can get an idea of the entrance doors and the front chimney. So in that analysis, in that view, if you go further back, you'll get the night views. John, these show uplighting on the plantings, is that compliant?
No, it's not compliant.
Okay, thank you. Josh, will you acknowledge that the uplighting?
Forgive me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The uplighting in the landscape is not permitted by code?
Oh, yeah, that's
Where
immaterial.
that-
That was not, yeah, of course. Yeah, not a problem at all.
Okay. And did you settle on a design of the barn doors which were covering over the added garage space?
My wife would like to do a traditional pattern, which is used in the village quite a bit, but we don't have a very strong opinion about that. So if the board would like a Z design or just a simple shaker style, we're fine with that. It's not material to us. Just getting rid of all the glass on the first floor is the, the thing that we're aiming for.
Yeah. Thoughts about just having that shingle? Have you considered that?
Forgive me, I'm sorry.
Have you considered just going to shingling in that area, the front of the building?
Yeah, I think it would be very top heavy. And the goal was to try to start to build some symmetry here. So we saw that design of the large window, triple, double picture on top and the barn doors on the bottom. It looks really sharp, very consistent with what we're seeing in the neighborhood. As you know, we're on a dead end. So unfortunately, we don't get the visibility that you get on Hedges and Sag Pond Court. So yeah, we looked at that. It would look very stark and barren. And I think the barn doors give it a little depth and character, both consistent with what's around the neighborhood and also to help balance the house.
And the color that you're proposing is black?
Yeah, it's a charcoal gray black. Yeah.
Okay. Just so that the board has a color concept in mind. Any thoughts on that?
Not really.
No,
Less light. Yeah.
no. I think it looks nice.
Okay.
What direction does this second story window above the garage?
That faces the street.
That faces the street,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's a lot of light coming out of there, but
you guys approved top and bottom like that. So
okay, that's,
it's
I
already been
understand.
approved.
Agreed. This is from my site visit last week. Okay. This is further down on the side of the house. I'll show you these in the.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then this is the front corner. Okay, yeah. This is the far right of the house.
Right.
Back towards the side. And this is the garage door up here. That's the front. Keep it within context. Nick, any comments about altering styles and appearance?
It seems fine. I'm a little curious about the chimney, but I think that the rest is fine.
That was actually pre-existing,
Oh, good. Okay.
although it's rather ornate indeed.
Yeah, I'm fine with the work.
And night illuminations, any thoughts from the board on that?
well, this is less.
Well, certain things got a little bit longer for the egress on the second floor, living room, or bedroom, sorry. The additional garage door, which is shown with a kind of alternative exterior finish, could you explain that, Josh?
That would be Mayron. We're putting 4 identical doors, so I'm not sure why he did that. Maybe just to kind of bring attention to it, as you guys were reviewing the plans and the renderings, but that is going to be consistent with all the other doors. So it's a clean sweep of 4 doors.
Okay, and those are all solid panels? There's no glass in any of those?
Great question. I don't think so, but let me.
You should know.
Hang on. No, if there's glass, it's like a sliver, but hang on. Let me just see if I got a photo that'll help us.
I mean, they aren't calculated on the light charts, but
It shows on here that there are windows there. Well,
Yeah, let me just grab a,
no,
the side.
let me just grab a
oh, here.
photo of the front there.
Yep, thank you.
Bear with me, guys.
It just seems strange that all the illustrations that we had had the newest door a different context.
Yeah, I can assure you that's not my intent or style. So you
Okay.
can have an assurance from me that it's going to be identical to the others.
Clarify what that will be for us from Mayron?
Forgive me, I'm sorry.
Will you please clarify with the office what that will be and have it noted?
Are we talking about the 4th garage door?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be the same exact material, finish, and style as the existing 3 doors.
Right. The building inspector is requesting a concise rendering that gets rid of the thought of ambiguity. Okay?
Forgive me, I'm sorry. What ambiguity?
The fact that it looks different opens the door that it might not be different. So we need a rendering that shows them as the uniform. Okay?
Right. I can just have Mayron provide a drawing for John.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Sure. I'll have Mayron take care of that this week.
Okay, thank you. Do we need to review that, Tom? Okay, so it'll go to committee of 2. Any other discussion on this? No. No? All right. Nick, any other thoughts? We're good? Just the thumbs up is fine.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Thanks for your effort.
Yeah, no worries. I have a quick question, guys, because you only meet once a month. I just have a question of our driveway. We have just a straight shot driveway that leads to those garage doors. There's no way to turn around, so we end up backing out. We've already had 2 accidents, actually, literally. So what does the village do in that situation where we have a straight shot right to the garage? As you can see, there's a car on one of those renderings. What do we do to address that? Because we initially came in with a circle driveway, and then we came in with another one that stopped at the house, which is what everybody else has. So what do you suggest? How do we turn around?
I think we suggest that you discuss it with the building inspector.
Either that or check your rear view mirror as you're backing up.
Oh, believe me, it's not me, it's my wife. She put a couple of good dents in my classic car. We could do that. Actually, what had happened with this proposed driveway, it had been approved by the building inspector. And then when we came in for our first meeting with you guys, you said you don't like to have a driveway near the front door because people tend to leave their car there. So that was the explanation you guys gave us. But so we know we're code compliant, but we're not Ahrb compliant. So I just was asking kind of like, what do we do? Because we don't have any way to turn around.
As I recall, was there a circular driveway in the front before? Seegers?
Yes, there was.
I don't remember Seegers having a circular driveway in front of it.
No. Forgive me. No, not at all. They just have the one shop. But when we proposed what we submitted to John and we submitted to the board was the circular driveway that, basically deposits people there, and then you can get back in to park your car.
Right.
And the concern was that
you're not going to leave a classic car in front of the house in the circular driveway all the time just to show off the car, right?
I assure you, my wife wouldn't let me do it anyway.
Okay.
She's trying to get rid of them.
Okay. So I don't have a solution unless you're going back to a circular driveway, which has already been turned down. So again, I think the easiest thing to do is to urge caution and wise approach.
Okay, does everybody do that? They don't, without a circular driveway, does everybody just back out kind of thing?
Yes, I do that every day.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, guys. Do you have any more
Okay.
questions?
No, I think we're good. If you can get that.
I'll
submitted.
have Mayron send that to John right
Okay.
away.
Thank
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Motion to adjourn to committee of two.
So moved.
Second,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Okay, 608 Sagman Street. Yep.
Thank you.
You got this one? Got these?
Okay. Your name?
Hi, I'm Brian Brady from Brady Design in Southampton.
And so last month we granted the demo on this site, is that correct? Yes. And these things need to be adjusted with this proposal, and so now we're ready to hear for the adjustments, so to speak. Very good.
So I am a classical architect based in Southampton. I'm here with my partner, who's also my daughter. My name is Brady, and we're with our builder as well, right from the 5th of June.
Okay.
This house, if you know the property is kind of unique in that it's off of Sagmain onto a cul-de-sac in the back, and it has road frontage on two sides.
Yes.
So it's a very, very tiny building envelope that we could work with.
Well, I mean, it's a building law, right?
Well, yeah, it was just unique. It was a very long parallelogram that we had to work with.
Yeah.
My client wanted a very classical house. He liked symmetry. He wanted it to be all traditional materials, red cedar that will go brown. He liked shutters. We wanted to keep them simple. That's why they're white. So it's basically a typical classical Hamptons house.
I don't know whether I feel that. This is rather unique in Sagaponic. We'll leave it that way. So
those are not the correct renderings.
I'm sorry?
Those are not the correct renderings.
The updated percent.
Okay.
We have, the ones we have here are dated March 10th.
Is that correct or no?
Because we didn't have anything updated. Or if we do, it's in PDF.
I sent everything via email about 2 weeks ago.
Let me just see what I've got.
These are dated
Yeah,
March
that's
10th.
correct.
That's the
And then I
correct
sent
one,
everything
yeah.
via email.
Is
That's
this
full
not
set.
what you want?
What is the
Is it
date on
dated
it?
March 10th?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then, that's
But
what I
just
have.
what wasn't on, it wasn't on the screen.
Okay.
See if you can find this.
This right?
You'll notice the shutters are not for white.
This is from February.
That's right.
Okay. Very good.
Nathan.
All right.
We have a set of drawings dated the 8th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. thank you. Okay, would you like to continue? or-
Sure.
Okay.
The house is an L-shaped house.
Mhm.
Which has a two-car garage attached by a breezeway. In the rear of the property is where we have the swimming pool and a pool house slash pergola structure. Which you can see right there. We have some outdoor porches in there, and landscaping is still to be determined. There are a lot of existing trees on the property, and we're going to try to
Yes, yeah.
preserve.
Mhm.
We want to preserve as much of that as we can.
The two-story white tower, if you will,
Yeah,
what is the
that's the
function
stair.
of that? That's a
It's the
staircase?
staircase, yeah.
And the hedges as depicted are existing or not?
Yes.
No.
It's so overgrown right now, it's hard to know
Right,
what's
it's-
there and
yeah.
what's not there.
But there is not a surrounding hedge.
There
or-
is a surround, but it's not manicured by any
It's
sense.
a little, it's a
It's
little
just, or
half-
it's let go, so we have
Yes,
to
okay.
kind of figure out what's there.
Very good.
And the basketball court will be fully sunken,
Will be what?
fully sunken.
What depth would that be? then?
It's gonna be 4 foot below those adjacent grade.
And that's surrounded by a fence, John?
Well, you're gonna have to have some type of a guard protector to stop the accidental.
Right. I'm just asking for the deer's sake, that's
What
all.
did you say again?
I've made that noise many, many times.
I've looked at it.
The necessity of two curb cuts, I'd like to hear your explanation of that.
And two parking areas.
Right, we had a required parking for the number of bedrooms that were in the house. And so basically we have the homeowners parking, which is at the garage, and then guest parking, which is over to the right. We needed to do that because we couldn't have any cars in the front yard setback. So, and we couldn't have one driveway connecting the two.
But I don't really understand that, because this shows you have essentially front yard parking in two places.
So this is.
But it's not in the setback.
No,
Oh, this
actually,
is the
parking
wrong-
front lot, we've got to talk about, because you do have what I would look at, walk like a duck, fight like a duck, parking area located in the required. parking
This
area.
is
Okay.
in the front
So
from here.
turn around is one thing, but turn around is 12 feet wide. There's not the entire width in a big area that actually shows a car.
Well, we revised
We
that.
changed that.
Yeah, we did.
When you put the can of soup back on the shelf, it's still stolen.
Well, we revised the entire layout of the driveway.
No, I saw the revised layout, we still have what looks like a parking area in the required, but that's easy.
Yeah.
No, it's,
We just wanted to line up, that's what we,
So this rendering is not correct, in other words.
well, be specific for their sake, which one you're referring to. So there's additional parking 3 vehicles on a diagram on T-1.0. That is not paved, that is a virtual parking area, is that
if
correct?
you can go to the drawing, you can see what you're referring to.
It's gonna be T,
Yeah, that will have the site plan on.
What's
the
that?
number.
T-1.0.
The one with, yeah, fire. Yep, so you have the 3 to the right of the house
Go into the house.
and a turnaround. And then you have separate parking at the garage, 2 inside the garage and 1 to the left of the garage, and the ability to back out and turn around.
Right,
So they are not connected any longer.
Yeah.
We made that change.
can you zoom into the right front corner of the house?
Yeah,
Where it says parking for 3 vehicles, and that is not paved, is that correct? That's what I'm trying to clarify.
it's pebbles.
All right, but
It
that's,
is not
but
grass.
that's not the other depiction, which is,
The renderings, yes,
Which
we
one?
got that from John just in the last week, so we made the quick change. We can update those to reflect.
But what you're talking about is putting
Yes, because now they're
more parking out here on the edge, over here.
correct, yep.
Yeah, that's, looks horrendous in my mind. How many bedrooms are you talking about in this
It's
house?
7 bedrooms, we need 6 parking
Right,
spaces.
yeah.
And so the only place to do that, that's not in the front yard setback, because there are 2 front yards,
Mhm.
is within that area.
I would argue that. I think you need to look near the garage further and develop that idea as the central thing. For me, having this
Well, wait, sorry to interrupt you. Where near the garage?
to the right or even closer to the street, you have one car sitting there outside the garage. I would
Right, but
expand
if
your
you see
space
that
there.
dashed line, that's our setback, so we can't extend beyond that. We are at the setback.
Then I would plan to shift everything towards the back lot a little bit. Or to the right of the parcel.
So if we shift the house any further, we are going to be beyond the principal structure setback for the L part of the house.
It runs on an angle.
Yeah.
Right, maybe the house is just a little big.
Well,
But-
there's no way that people aren't gonna park in this front area. It's not gonna happen.
I'm suggesting getting rid of the entire front parking lot.
Well, I
And
don't know
then
what you're
bring your parking
suggesting.
out into here.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's,
it looks like Buckingham Palace to me from the front. It's just a little bit overkill.
so
I
there's
realize
basically,
you've got a client, but I'm just expressing
Yeah.
my first impressions of it. It's very, very grand.
well, there's a lot of parking. There's a whole area in front of the house where cars will park, whether or not that's supposed to happen is another question.
And John's
And
gonna
plus the
fix that
extra
now.
parking to the right.
I'll be working them with the parking areas. Actually, I was just relaying to them a few seconds ago that these 2 parking areas will have to modify but it won't be a difficult fix, but when it comes to the parking area, you're right, it's a walk like a duck, quack like a duck theory. And it looks like a parking lot, so.
Yeah.
We'll work on
Okay,
it. It'll
so
become much
so
more
this
compliant,
isn't-
much
this-
more subdued.
this isn't correct then.
No, but I mean, I just pointed out to them
Okay.
that about the curb cuts, they put forth a new site plan for it. I didn't mention the first time through about the other 2 parking areas, so, fair to them, they didn't know it was something I was looking at. When I finally saw the two individual parking areas is when I said, well, we still have to work on this, but
Okay.
it's not a hard fix.
But it'll still be 2 separate parking areas, or they'll just?
We're open, I mean, you.
Okay, it's still working on that, okay.
I mean, they could come in as a nice lazy oval in front of the house, so you can drop people off and then come over to the parking area. There are many, many ways to.
Okay.
Okay. Any comments on the basic design?
Very symmetric.
Yes.
Very what?
Symmetric. We heard about
As
that.
was requested, I
That's
guess.
what that's,
I think it's beautiful. Personally.
The elevations, do you have measurements on the broadness of the chimneys? How wide they are?
Off the top of my head, but there
Okay.
should be measurements on the floor plans.
I would ask what this window on the back is that looks like a ship's steering wheel. It's not exactly symmetric in any way with anything else if you're going for symmetric.
it's circular. Yeah. We have another circular window on the other side of the house as well.
I don't see that.
It's over the porch. Toward the back porch. Right.
Maybe it's the rendering.
No,
It might
it's
be
it's
blocked.
here.
It's in the sunlight, but it's back there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Nick, any comments on this?
If we could go to the rear elevation, I just had the two items that stick out is the cupola over the garage and the tower element or the Queen Anne style element in the corner of the cul-de-sac. But in terms of our purview, it's the two outside. Stay there for a second if you come back. Do you have a survey that shows, or a Google image that shows the house relative to the other properties?
Don't think so.
Don't have an aerial. This is the aerial. There's a farm on one side, farm on
And
the other.
the
And the
dew
dew is on the
is
other.
across from the main.
Yeah, but we can get one for next time.
I could, let me see if I can find it real quick.
As long as we're going for symmetry, I would question the need for these odd shaped little windows. I mean, this triangular window appears in several places, but the others are like one here and one there in this huge house. I don't really think they're necessary, but I don't know what they're illuminating inside either.
Yeah, it's an interior, it is dictated by the interior layout. So one is in a closet above a vanity, so it's kind of the vignette within that room. And then the other is at the end of a hallway. It's trying to keep consistency in style. By
So
using the
there
same
are
window
two
twice.
of those, and then there's a little square window over the garage. It's unlike anything
Which
else.
is the dining window, and it used to get onto the house.
Pat, if I could share a screen, I can address the image of from the site.
You can share now.
The Dew had a previous issue with a potential project that we were told it would not be a spec house, and we were told they would not cut down mature plantings, and it turns out both of those were false statements. So not only as a member, but as a longtime supporter of Madhu, I just want to make sure that we're at least aware of the site view points from Madhu. Let me just go back in time here. Okay, so this one may be the best. So in terms of the purview of the public, as you said, obviously the farm is its own animal, and then this property has its own view.
Mhm.
And of course the road, Sag Lake Road. So I'll stop sharing.
What was the kind of that?
We can go back to the
Just to show the environment. Layout. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
So back to the original comment that the cupola is really kind of a fanciful item that we've had many precedents in the past, unfortunately not passing through the board. It's like as I said, a fanciful item. And then in terms of the variated windows, I'll let you answer that as well. But those are really my first comments.
Well, the cupola is functional as well. It is a vent for the ridge of the roof.
Is he, what did he say about the little windows?
Just that he's noting the concern about, yeah, we haven't approved the cupola in 12 years. I think. Yeah, it just doesn't fly. Also,
I guess
the
that's-
chimney caps are a little bit maybe overly ornate, I don't know. What is the material? It's
bluestone and brick.
imported brick or, okay. Seems kind of not really a bleach.
Well, it's
Is it a lightened?
similar to, in a way, to the caps on
Right.
the.
Yeah, it's a-
On the pool house
it's-
too. Yeah.
It's a booster.
So this could maybe be simplified a little bit. The shutters are not functioning, they are not wide enough to cover the whole
No,
window.
they are.
correct? They are?
Yeah.
Okay. They look like they might be.
That's just the rendering.
Okay.
We would never do that.
Okay. And the front door has the valance and sides, is that?
Yes, right.
Okay. Makes it very present. The, over the front porch is a functioning balcony or
No, it's a window.
it's just a window? And the fencing there, for lack of a better word, the balcony is simply virtual, it's not existing, correct? There's no reason for the,
It's just
designed-
decorative, yeah.
It's designed, not
It's-
functional.
It's decorative, yeah.
okay. And in front of the windows is a different pattern than the vertical pattern on the sides?
The Chippendale, yes.
Is the Chippendale carried through on any other?
No, it's just in the front.
It is a functioning, on the rear side, we do have this,
Yes, that is.
and that is functioning as a balcony, yes?
And it's all vertical. It's not just
Yeah, that's all
balconies.
vertical.
I would say both are functional, but our client has decided to not use the front, so that is a window. Does that make sense? Rather than this, the back is accessible, the front is not.
Understood.
So that would be a flat roof on the front porch
Yes.
with no pitch?
Sorry,
With no pitch?
for drainage.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say that's not gonna work. And is it possible to find out the width of the chimneys? Because they seem kind of overstated.
We can make that adjustment once we have the final specifications. We can limit that based on the flue sizes and the required.
Yeah, they just seem kind of massive.
So we can minimize that based on the firebox size and what the code requires.
And the back of the garage has doors that open, is that what I'm seeing, or is that just for visual sake?
Yeah, it has, excuse me, barn doors that open, so therefore there can be storage for basketball. Well, hidden. so it's not insane.
Any other thoughts?
Well, no, I think I've said my thoughts. I
All
mean,
right.
I would,
You've expressed some.
I would question the need for a third pattern on the balcony in front. You have vertical and you have in these windows cross hatching and then yet another pattern in these non-functional railings. I'm not quite sure what they're to be called. And I did question about those
Small windows.
fanciful windows.
The other thing is that it looks like the chimney might not be to code. It looks like it's quite close to the ridge. Might need to be taller there.
I think it's deceptive in the rendering and the elevations, you can see a little bit better, but we will check that for sure.
And do you have a color for the white trim? Is there a specific color you're thinking?
Yeah, we typically just do a Benjamin or white dove.
Brilliant is usually not flying here.
What's that?
Brilliant white does not usually fly here.
So this is not brilliant.
Yes, right. I wanted to clarify that.
The white dove is a little more, right?
It's a
Yes.
little different, right?
Okay. Preliminary comments. Once we have an idea of how you're going about with the parking, that would be helpful, just to get an idea. I encourage members of the board to make a site visit on this and to use a little imagination as to, now that you've seen the correct plans and so forth, to visualize a little bit on that. And
Is the house
work
gone
forward.
now? I was. believing
No,
the old house.
we did the minimal site clearing around where we're doing the property retainage fencing, which we're gonna have inspected this upcoming week or next.
Mhm.
We're just working through that over vegetated area to try to get this fence.
Over. Just kidding.
Well, it is. a little-
Overgrown,
it's a little
no.
bit of a
Oh,
mess.
it's been let go, yes, I understand.
They're currently working on the fencing right now, so you'll see some of the silt fencing going and snow fence going up now.
Very good. Any thoughts on the staircase tower in the back? Nick, if you have any.
Can we just, can we just see the technical drawings? Is that a copper, lead coated copper roof, or what are the materials there?
That's what it is, yes.
And just for analysis sake, what is the square footage of the house and plus the figure for accessory structures, and then what's your maximum on the lot?
It's all on the title page.
Okay.
Can I just sneak?
Is that the envelope set
Sorry, T 1.2.
1.2?
Yep, so the proposed is 6934 and the allowable is 6939. That's a total square footage. And then they'll leave the whole breakdown by porches, accessory structures, etc.
Okay, so it's basically maxed out.
Correct.
Okay. And this is not a spec, is that correct?
No.
All right. Any other observations at this point? We'll see what comes up with the parking and it's.
Parking is my only, that was the only thing that I was.
Yeah, I just want to go see if I can visualize the mass. And the other question is, as we go through the process, what is the public view? But without really having a sense of what the layout is, that's kind of hard to discern.
The landscaping hasn't been thought about yet, or
It's
it's in
just
progress?
getting started.
Hmm?
It's just getting
Just
started.
starting.
Yeah.
And we're not at the height limit of the house either. We kept it down below what's allowed.
Well, at least you're not in a FEMA zone, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you very much for your information today. Is there a motion to adjourn to April?
So moved.
Come on.
Okay, very good. All those in favor? Aye. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Committee of two for April. Okay, all right. So then we'll move on. All right. Thank you, Chris. Didn't give you a chance to say very much, but.
No. You guys took care of it.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nick. Hope everybody's feeling better as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
good luck in your little hospital there.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right.